Hello everybody, what's up? How are you doing? How's been your day, night, evening, wherever you are in the world? I'm Ro. This is the only time you'll see me this year, 2026. I know that's sad, but that's just how things go in here, unfortunately. So, if the title's not enough indication, we are going back to the Thai ranking format, in where we're gonna be ranking book crimes. From books that I like, from books that I dislike, from books that I feel neutral about. To be honest, I won't tell you which book is which, because it doesn't really matter. I don't think it's relevant in this case. What you should know though, and what is important, is that every single one of these books has committed a crime to some degree. Unless they make it into the highest tier. But all of the other ones have a certain level of badness, of evilness. So let me present to you the tiers. The first one, and the one that is technically the safest one, is immunity. But that doesn't mean that you're not guilty. It's just that I'm giving you immunity. The second one is, I'll ignore this. The third one is cancelled. The fourth, straight to jail. And the last one is hell. And I mean business here, all right? So I have a legal team that is gonna help me build a case with arguments, not biased. So the court is now in session. We are starting with a very strong contender. And this is a book series that I really liked back in the day. However, there is this very particular thing that makes it quite difficult to recommend to other people. Every single time that I try to talk about it, I just get embarrassed. Tomatoes are being thrown at me, and then I have to be like, wait, you guys, listen. This is actually like a good series. If you could just ignore that one little thing that I'm about to tell you, you could actually enjoy it. The prosecution calls to the stand fallen kingdoms. So, summary. There are 3 kingdoms in this fantasy world called Mythica or Mythica, I don't know how you want to say it. And they have been living just chilling over there for a really long time until they started fighting. Part of the reason as to why everybody's fighting is because of they want power, they want magic, you know how it goes. And you have the characters, which are Cleo, Jonas, Lucia, and Magnus, that are caught in a dizzying world of treacherous betrayals, shocking murders, secret alliances, and even unforeseen love. And I guess in a way this is a little bit of a spoiler, but it doesn't really say much about the plot. This is about the romance, so do with that information what you will. Now, I'm a firm believer of not recommending books based on tropes. But for the sake of this situation, I'm just gonna tell you this is like a really good enemies to lovers. So we have Magnus, the Mora, which is like the prince to one of the kingdoms. And his sister, Lucia, which is actually not his sister. She's adopted. Okay, it's important to note, Your Honor, that Magnus knows that Lucia, is not actually his sister. She's not his sister. Okay. And I guess the main issue of the situation in here is that he has a crush on his sister. I'm sorry, what? He has a crush on his sister. Okay, let's just say it outright. And that's the reason why I have a hard time recommending this book series. And I usually say, putting that aside, the first book is not that great, so go through it quickly just to have context. And then the second book onwards, it gets good. It gets good, I promise. Maybe I should give you a heads up, but he is also the character that goes through the enemies to lovers trope. Not with his sister, but with another character, and that's actually really good. I actually got made fun of for recommending this book on TikTok. I'm so serious. There was this girl that was like, oh my god, I need enemies to lovers recommendation, and I was like, listen, and I gave her my whole speech that I just gave you, and she was like, oh, I'll see if I check it out. Guys, I deleted that video. I deleted it because I was like, I'm not going to be embarrassed in my own account because I did a video. So for context, in book 2, he actually starts coming to his senses. Okay, so don't worry about that. So the fact that he comes to his senses in book 2 and he's the character that actually has the enemies to lovers trope later with another character, that should be enough to lower the sentencing of this character. Yes, Your Honor. Yes. Do they kiss? Do they kiss? I actually don't remember. Genuinely don't remember. Maybe I deleted that from my memory. As far as I know, they don't. Alright, so Fallen Kingdoms, you are getting cancelled. Okay, you might survive, but for the time being, I don't like you. If you disagree with the placement of Fallen Kingdoms, I understand. Like, why is it not in hell? Or at least in jail? Well, the prosecution calls to the stand Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare. If you have read these books, you know where this is going. If you haven't, you're up for a ride. Let me tell you that. So, the Mortal Instruments, or the Shadowhunters, Chronicles series, trilogies, and all of those, because there's so many books. The Shadowhunter series basically is about these people that are like half human, half angels. They hunt demons and keep the regular people like ourselves safe from this like bad entities. And Clary Frey, which is our main character, also lives like a regular normal person until she gets thrown into this world because her mom was actually a shadow hunter, but she hid it away because her husband, Valentine, became evil. And he was like looking for her, right? So she leaves and tries to hide herself and her daughter, Clary. In book 1, which is City of Bones, we have Clary Frey, half human, also Shadowhunter, but she still is not like a full Shadowhunter. And she meets Jace Wayland, Shadowhunter. They have a little bit of a crush on each other, so they kiss. What's the problem with that? Well, the problem with that is that at the end of the book, we are told that Jace and Clary are siblings. Like, you are rooting for them throughout the book, and you're like, oh my god, they kissed, that's so cute. Well, loud and correct buzzer. Yo, Your Honor, to be fair, my client had no idea. It changes things a little bit in comparison to the previous book, except it doesn't. In book 3, Clary meets, what's his name? Jonathan. Now, she's not like super into Jonathan, but like they start hanging out, and Jonathan is like having a good time hanging out with her. Let's put it that way. And guess what? They kiss. Well, that's a good thing, because then that means that Jace is no longer in the picture. That's where you are wrong. We are later told that Jonathan is, in fact, for reals this time, her brother. Jace and Clary are actually not siblings. It was just a little thing that Valentine, which is the evil guy, just told them. Just for rage bait. Like, just for the fun of the game. And okay, fair, she didn't know. But, dude, this is like the second time this happens to you. Now I'm starting to feel like a little bit weird about this. How does this happen to you twice? One kiss is bad, but two though? The court finds the defendant guilty. You're going straight to jail, and you're staying there. Next, please. The next book is a contemporary romance that I know a lot of people like. I'm in the middle, kind of neutral. However, I really like the movie adaptation. I think it's fun. It has that sort of rom-com vibe that movies used to have. However, that's not going to be enough to save you. The prosecution calls to the stand The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This is a contemporary work romance book in where both of the characters have a bit of a rivalry going on throughout the years, and then they start dating at the end of the book. You know, I don't feel like that's a spoiler, because I think that's usually how these stories go. Can you please state the crimes? Yes, Your Honor. You see, there's two things that really piss me off about this book, but I'm just going to say one. May I present to you the Smurf obsession? Yes, you heard that right. The Smurf obsession. The main character is a little bit quirky, you know, and hey, that's not a criminal offense. I usually can't stand that. But Your Honor, tell me, why was she naming the Smurfs every single time? In the big 2016, that's when this book was released. Don't you think it's fine for a girl to have hobbies? Your Honor, no. I don't think that's okay. It's not that I don't think she shouldn't have a hobby. It's just like, why is she naming the Smurfs every single time that she can? Also, why is nobody talking about the fact that even then, like a couple of years ago, the Smurfs were flops? I'm sorry if you're a part of the blue community. I don't think I remember the last time that people were actually excited about the Smurf movie. Like, it's just not being a thing. Your Honor, I'm stating a very valid case, and here. I am willing to show her some leniency, because in the scheme of things, this is not the worst of the worst. And I think we can all agree on that. Does it help me? No, I don't think so. I do sometimes think about it from time to time, but it doesn't keep me up all night. There are crimes that are worse than this. The verdict of the crime is, I'll ignore this. You can go. Next, please. The next book is one that I completely forgot that I've read before. Until I saw that they changed the cover and it's actually so pretty. But will the cover be enough to save this duology? Please welcome to The Stand. Anna Dressed in Blood. I'll give you a little summary because I don't think this book is as popular. Cass Lovewood has inherited an unusual location. He kills the dead. And they follow legends and local lore, destroying the murderous dead and keep pesky things like the future and friends at bay. He starts searching for a ghost the locals call Anna Dressed in Blood. What he finds instead is a girl entangled in a curse and rage. A ghost like he's never faced before, and she still wears the dress she wore on the day of her brutal murder in 1958. This is a YA paranormal story. And yes, there's romance. And I'm not against some paranormal romance. But Ghost, I feel like, I don't know. It brings an energy to the table that I don't really enjoy. What's wrong with a little bit of a ghost romance? I feel like we are, in the line. We are almost crossing the line. We're crossing into a little bit of problematic territory. I am very accepting of people's lifestyles. But Ghosts brings an energy to the table that I'm not too sure about. I mean, you gotta accept that one is wrong. And I do, Your Honor, there was no crime committed in here. If you think about it, she didn't kill anybody. There's no crime being committed in here, even though she did kill a lot of people. But him in particular didn't, so there's no crime about that. To be honest with you, prosecution or defendant or whatever, I don't think you have a strong enough case. This actually sounds a little bit offensive from you, actually. Your Honor, you haven't heard the entire case because a human and ghost relationship might not be wrong, Your Honor, but you know what's bad? An age gap, human ghost relationship. He is a minor. He's 17 and she is 16. But she has been alive for a really long time. She's been alive, she's been around. Her ghost has been alive. Her ghost has been in that house since 1958. That's a pretty big age gap in my opinion. Oh, buddy, you are canceled. You are canceled, Your Honor. I'm sorry I'm not the one doing the sentencing, but I think that's pretty bad. An age gap is indeed very, very bad. Thank you so much to the prosecution for bringing that up. The sentencing is right. You are canceled. Next, today we've heard some pretty awful cases in this court. This one's no different. Please welcome to The Stand, Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This is pretty popular, so I'm just gonna give you the rundown. This is a contemporary romance book in where the main character, Ava, is a photographer and the main love interest, he's rich. I don't remember. I guess he's the son of some business mogul. Regardless on how you feel about the book, maybe you really like it, maybe you really dislike it, I think we all can come to the agreement in here that what I'm going to present to the court is a crime. This happens around the last part of the book, and to be honest with you, I don't remember how we get here. The main character, she's doing an exhibition of her work at an art gallery. Alex is trying to sort of impress her to win her back, so he decides... I'm sorry, this makes my blood boil. He goes stand in the middle of the gallery and starts singing. Starts serenading her. I feel like I have a lot of patience when it comes to books. I can take a lot of things. This is not one of them. I cannot, Your Honor, stand when a character starts singing. Maybe if the book revolved around something like singing, then it wouldn't matter. Because it's part of the context. But when they just randomly start singing as if we're in a High School Musical movie, on top of that, it really pisses me off. Because he's doing all of this in a night that's supposed to be her night. I don't remember if this is the opening night or the closing night. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter to me. He's doing all this. No. I agree with you. And you know what? The court finds you guilty of all crimes and sentence you to be shot. The next crime, I won't lie, it's a little bit more personal. I don't expect you guys to understand, but I want you to know that to me, this is more than a crime. To me. This is bad to me. Please welcome to The Stand. The Inheritance Games. And I'm gonna read The summary. Avery Grams has a plan for a better future, survive in high school, win a scholarship, and get out. But her luck changes in an instant when billionaire Tobias Hawthorne dies and leaves her virtually his entire fortune. Avery must move into his sprawling mansion. Unfortunately for Avery, Hawthorne House is also occupied by the family that was just disinherited. This includes the 4 Hawthorne grandsons. And we're gonna focus on only 2, which is Grayson and Jameson. This is like a little bit of a Vampire Diaries situation. The summer I turned pretty situation. Honestly, this is not even like the main plot of the book. Some would say this is the least important part of the book, which is the romance. However, there's an issue. Something that I cannot get past. Because the thing is, I don't think I've ever experienced something like this before. Because Jameson and Grayson, as we already established, are brothers. And you know what? I do like a little bit of a fight, a little bit of a rivalry between brothers when it comes to romance. I don't mind it. When the choice that I want ends up being the choice at the end. And I guess this might be a little bit of a spoiler. If you want to read them, I guess just jump this part. We are shown in the first book who is like the actual good choice for her. Like if she was smart, she would have chosen him. Grayson. I'm not bothered that she's hanging out with Jameson because like I know in my heart that he's like the good and obvious answer. So like I'm not concerned. Well, turns out that in book 2, at the end, she's like, yo, Jameson, you are the one for me. What? I was pacing through my room for like some solid 20 minutes because like I couldn't believe it. And there was a part of me that was thinking maybe some stuff is gonna happen and in book 3 she's gonna end up with Grayson. Mind you, up until this point, I'm really enjoying the first 2 books. Like I finished them like this. I start the 3rd book and literally on the first chapter, she said something along the lines of Grayson enters through the door and like some feelings like linger, but like it's not like that anymore. I am a little bit embarrassed to admit this, but I put down the book right there and then. And I have not finished it. Because it's something that made me so mad that I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish the trilogy just because of that. Because like this has never happened to me. Like the characters, when I'm reading a book, the characters that get into this weird like 90-degree angle dynamic, they always end up with the guy that I like. Unless it's like an enemy situation. As I said before, I don't like going into a book knowing it's going to be enemies to lovers. For me, it's like a part of the plot. If you're recommending this book, telling me that this is an enemies to lovers, that to me is a spoiler. This doesn't count because sometimes there are certain fantasy books that I read in where it's enemies to lovers and there's other times where they start as enemies and then they don't end up together. And when that happens, I do what any sane and logical person would do, which is kill myself. So I guess this book was the closest to that. I have to say, you made a very compelling case. And for the sake of your own mental health, I'll just put the Inheritance games in jail. And that concludes the court session of today. I actually might do a second part of this. If you guys disagree with any of my sentencings, maybe let me know. Oh my god, I just realized nobody made it into immunity. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing, checking out my TikTok, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Adios.